ladies and gentlemen, it is I, Taylor Field here, and oh my god, it is, well, yeah, the Overlord review finally here. I was very upset, it was the last week of October, and I thought, oh, Overlord's coming out, and I'll go and go get my ticket. Went to get my ticket, and sure enough, it was not playing. It actually got pushed back a little bit, so that was very upsetting, but now we are here, and this is just fantastic. I just got out of the theater, went to watch it. Oh my god. I'm going to start off with non-spoilers, of course, but before I get to that, I want to do a huge shout out. The GeekVerse podcast just accomplished their Extra Life charity fundraiser 24-hour video game event this past weekend actually, and it was a huge success. We managed to make our goal of $1,000 and then an extra $25 on top of that for a total of $1,025. Our last goal from the year before, we made $550, so this is double and a huge jump ahead for us. And we just want to say a huge thank you to everyone that helped us reach that goal and supported us along the way. It was absolutely an outstanding and crazy fun event, and we can't wait to see you guys next year for our next charity Extra Life 24-hour stream. It'll be a great time. So on top of that, also check out, I believe Dylan Less has put out an Octopath review out. I don't have all the details on that, but check it out. Octopath is on the Switch, but it should be a good time, so make sure you go check that out for some more video game coverage. But yeah, other than that, let's get into it. So, Overlord, yes, non-spoilers. To start off, the movie visually was outstanding. It had so much going for it that was just... it pulls you right into the moment and makes you feel like, okay, I'm in this situation and in this scenario, all of these things that happen to the main character, you feel for him and his comrades around him, and the scenarios with how visually enticing they are and how they pull you into these situations are just truly incredible. I can't say enough. Visually, this film just nails it 110%. And not just that, but the moments that make your bones hurt, 110% again. If it wants you to hurt, it'll make you hurt. I was holding, my collarbones and my rib cages, just my arms, squeezing them just because I could feel myself aching at moments, just thinking, oh, that must hurt, and I feel for you. Literally. So, I definitely, applaud a movie that can make the viewer feel like they're attached to the conflict that's happening in the film itself. But yeah, I mean, aside from the characters, the characters, they pulled me in. I really enjoyed following them and their stories. There was a lot that was very entertaining and intriguing. And overall, from start to finish, I didn't find there was ever any dull moments. I found that it was just a complete thrill ride. Right from the start, moving right up to the end of the movie, it was just constantly, it just makes you want more, and it keeps escalating more and more and more. And I wasn't sure, because obviously I've seen the trailers, I knew when certain scenes happened, but in the certain context that they did, I found it to fit really, really well and mesh and blend together very well. And the moments where they wanted you to jump or they wanted to display certain horrifying moments to you, they did it. They didn't rely on those moments, but when they did do them, make it happen, they did it very, very well. The gore was, through the roof, and it's just, this movie had a lot of realistic vibes to it, and, it's something you can see, from the moment, obviously, in the beginning of the film, this isn't much of a spoiler, this is in the trailer, but that there's paratroopers out of the planes. That is something, getting to visually see that whole sequence, it makes you understand, me personally, I like seeing these films because, when you can look at something and say, okay, these are real events that happened in our history. These people falling out of planes, and this movie, getting to see visually and getting that perspective so close on the big screen, it blows your mind that this is something that is pulled right out of history, and it really, at least it makes me feel. That's why, for a movie for, Dunkirk, that movie holds a special place, in my mind, that I can look to, because I have a huge respect for, veterans. I have a huge respect for that time of our history, in World War II in the 1940s. It's just those kind of situations whenever I see them on the big screen, they really hit me very, very powerful. They're overwhelming and they're powerful. And I wish that those were the kinds of things that more people could actually see and understand, because I think it's a very, very intensive sequence in our history. And yeah, I just think that this movie portrayed many of those things very, very well, and it did justice, And I said, those things being a part of our history, I'm not talking about the zombie aspect. Granted, the Nazis did do some crazy stuff, and I don't have all the information. Maybe if you're a conspiracy theorist or something, and you have the ideas and you have the plots and the deets, and then post us a comment. But I am speaking solely on the actions of them fighting the Germans, the Allies, and the Axis. That is all I'm referring to currently right now. As for the zombies, like I said, I know the Nazis did some crazy things. But yeah, so I guess 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna jump into some spoilers now. Oh my god! If you have not seen the movie, go see it and then come back. If you have seen the movie, then we're off to a great start. So I'm a huge fan of Call of Duty Zombies. Okay, going way back to World at War, Knockdown Toten, the OG zombie map, that was so good. And then when the Asylum came out, that was even better. Oh my god, Shinonuma, Derais, these were fantastic old school zombie maps. They were absolutely insane. And this is, as far as zombie games go, I can't find, maybe put Dying Light aside. Dying Light is great, but I haven't found an awesome zombie game that's just on par with Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies. In every game since, Black Ops, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4, Infinite Warfare, Advanced Warfare. These are all things that Advanced Warfare, I really, really enjoyed the zombie mode on that, but all these, the Treyarch just always had in the bag. Those zombie maps that they do in the game modes are just absolutely outstanding. Black Ops 4, I love what they've done. That aside, the zombies and the Nazi zombie aspect from that, I've always wanted to see on the big screen. And I know there's some other films out there, sub-films, that are out, and it has Nazi zombies and that sort of stuff, they never did it for me. This film, I felt like it just ripped the pages out of the what I've just been kind of wanting, to be put onto the big screen, and it displayed it in all of its, perfectness. I absolutely just love this film for starting off with them flying in the planes, and just then everything going to shit, the plane's blowing up, and then the main character, Boyce, he just falls out of gets thrown out of the plane. It's a close-up of him falling, planes exploding around him, just complete destruction and mayhem, just completely pulls you into this situation, and just how, the isolation of this character who is with everyone and now he's by himself, and just how this is, real people had to do this in this scenario, jump out of these planes. Everyone's blowing up. Everything is just being destroyed. Landing in a lake, starting to drown, trying to get out, getting out of there, sitting on a tree, resting for literally about 30 seconds, and then having Nazis open fire on your position, and you have to run off, avoiding landmines, trying to find your team, your comrades, just never knowing what step is you're going to be your last. This was all something like in the name, of freedom, and for, to just for a better future. And so these soldiers, Boyce, he progresses, and thankfully he encounters his corporal, and he meets up with some of his other teammates. Their sergeant fortunately gets popped in a huge piece of gore fest by some, as they call them, Krauts. And I apologize if there's any Germans listening. I am German myself, so not that that's an excuse. But if the term Kraut offends you, then maybe avoid this movie, because it is used a lot. Although I guess you'd be offended by the Germans getting killed more than you would be by the term Kraut. So, you know what? To each his own. Anyways, so the movie progresses where they encounter the girl. I can't remember her name. She takes them to the town, and the town is just outside the church. And right away you just think, okay, there's a church. There's something going on there. That's just there's just something going on that's just really, really, really scary, you know, you just get vibes that's, shit's going down. You know the Nazis are screwing with forces that they should not be. So once they get there and they establish themselves, you know, I did find that it took a little bit too long a time for them to be bunkered up in the attic. I feel like once shit went downhill and they ended up, you know, kidnapping the German officer, I guess, it felt like, you know, the soldiers eventually would have clued in and they would have tuned into, you know, okay, where's our officer, you know? And let's go to Chloe's house. Yes, Chloe's house. And let's just go and make sure he's okay. Oh, okay. He's not okay. But that never happened, you know. The soldiers just left him to do his thing. Because he apparently had a relationship going on with Chloe where, you know, he likes her, she doesn't like him, but he keeps her family safe and yada, yada, yada. The basis of a healthy relationship by far, I'm sure. Anyways, so that was going on, and, you know, as, in the house, actually, the aunt, this is when you get your first, you know, glimpse, okay, something's going wrong. You hear the aunt going, and you know, okay, zombie vibes out the yin-yang, and, you know, you get a glimpse of her, and she's walking around her room, it's like, okay, this is some bad stuff. So, as the movie progresses, the next sequence, I guess, it started to get a little bit more intense because the main character actually, he goes out to rendezvous with some of his comrades and he actually gets trapped in one of the German vehicles and he goes into the church itself actually, by accident. And once he's in there, it's just so gross. And, you know, this is where I can picture, you know, this, you know, being based on, you know, some very brutal, real things that, you know, maybe some scientists have actually experimented on, you know, back in the days of World War II or something like that. It gave me very freakishly eerie vibes and just makes me feel very unsettled and uncomfortable. But just seeing how the main character is just going around and he's encountering all these things and all these disgusting, you know, transgressions and way too, what is the word? I don't want to say intimate. It's probably a very, very bad word to use for this description. But things that are very compromising and intrusive onto these other unfortunate souls that are being transformed into these disgusting things, as it is referred to, 1,000-year army for 1,000-year Reich, and that's just very, very intense. But he sees some crazy stuff, and he finds his friend, one of his other comrades down there, and, you know, you can tell right away, okay, he's got a big thing in his side, like a pipe tube, and, you know, it's coming out. You know, it's coming out, and what happens? It comes out. They really emphasize that scene of the main character just pulling this long thing right out of the body of this friend. Oh, God, that's gross. But, you know, the friend's up, he's hippity-hopping, and they get out. And the friend actually manages to, do some justice. He's not all freakishly weird or anything, but he looks like he's going to recover, which is good. But anyways, they go back, and the German officer is still held captive. And they're going to use him for their plan. Unfortunately, the German officer tricks one of the American soldiers, grabs his gun, pops him at least 3 times, and then they disarm him. And the one main character, though, when he was in the underground church, he actually abducted some of the serum he found. So when they got back, you know, they find their friend's dead or whatever. They apprehend the German officer, and then they stab their American friend with the serum. And the friend wakes up, and he's got super strength, and he starts getting a little crazy. And then there's this stuff moving up his arm, and his head snaps back, which was so uncalled for because his collarbone, neck bone parts are sticking out. I'm grabbing my neck, and I'm freaking out, thinking this is so gross. And sure enough, his head snaps back forward, and now it's even worse. You know, I don't know why he tried to do that, but now it's all fucked up. It is so bad because now his bones are splitty splat everywhere, and his head doesn't work. And yet his friend, the main character, got the bright idea of thinking, you know, I'm gonna touch his neck, the back of his neck, because that's what you want to do when your friend's head flips backwards and back on straight and there's bones sticking out. You want to touch one of the bones. You know, of course, if it ever happened to Travis, I would touch one of his bones, you know, because that's going to help the situation. Anyways, it didn't help the situation, and the guy went absolutely bonkers and said, "Why did you do this to me? What did you do?" And then he got popped. But then you thought he got popped, but he got back up, and he got popped again. The main character smashed his head in with his butt of his rifle, and there's nothing left. And at this time, the German officer escapes, and you think, oh shit, that's just great. As he's running away, he grabs Chloe's little brother, the boy, books it down the stairs, gets into his car with some Germans outside, and then they open fire on the Germans. They pop a lot of them. But then when the main German officer turns around, one of the Americans just guns him down with the Tommy gun, the Thompson, and takes a good chunk out of his jaw, his side of his face. So he's in pain. He gets brought back to the base, though, in the underground church, and sure enough, he goes in. The doctor's like, no, it's unstable. Don't use the serum yet. And he's like, oh, his jaw's hanging out, and he grabs not one serum, because, one serum isn't going to be enough. He gets another serum, jabs his leg, and then he starts going, like, freakishly weird. He turns around and he smiles, and you think, oh, his side of his face is gone, which is really gross. Sure enough, that's where they're going. So, this guy's going to be a huge Nazi zombies boss that we got brewing up right here, so that's okay. And then the Americans come with a plan, get in there, because they got to blow up the tower, because I forgot to mention, if they blow up the church that has the tower on it, the tower jammer will then, it's basically preventing the Allies from communicating, so they wouldn't be able to use their planes to assist the troops landing on the beaches. So if they destroy the tower, then the planes communicate with each other, and then they're all set for their invasion. So they go in with their plans to destroy the tower, and they abduct a German guy, put him on a bike, duct tape his mouth, wheel the bike or whatever, the motorcycle into the entrance of the church. And the German guy goes up to the guy on the bike and rips the duct tape off his mouth, pulling the pin of a grenade in the guy's mouth, and then it's brutal because it explodes. He pops. Oh, and the rest is history. The Germans start pouring out, and there's two Americans sitting up on the hill. One of them has, obviously, MG42, I'm assuming, or it might have been the Browning. I can't remember specifically, but he just lights up and just cuts the grass down. All of those German grass just get cut down, and then they kind of retreat because they were running out of ammo, but they killed most of the Germans in there. I think earlier it was said something like 40 Germans inside the compound. Most of them get killed, so while that's happening, the other two, main character and the other American, and Chloe sneak into the base. Chloe manages to get her brother, but she does so with the help of one of the German soldiers she kidnaps, and the German soldier leads her into one of the cells, but the cell, he gets kind of hit in the head and then kind of gets pulled in there, and then Chloe runs off with the main character, and then they left the cell door open, and then we see the zombie. It like flips its head back up, and it's like twerking really badly, and the practical effects were just outstanding, but it goes out of its cell, and then it's hunting Chloe. Chloe gets Paul, the little brother, out through the sewer system. He's running or crawling, and then she's like in there with him, but then the hand comes in and grabs her and drags her out, and she's like, ah, and the zombie's like, ah, and it's got like one hand, the other hand has bones sticking out, and it's got big teeth, and one eye is just bulging and pulsating, and it's got a couple pieces of hair. Absolutely disgusting. Sure enough, though, the the girl manages to, pop some shots in its head, and it goes down for the count, and she gets up and walks away, and then the zombie, back breaks, and then it, flips back up, and then she starts to run, and I hate this, because I'm getting, deja vu vibes here. When you're running around in Nazi zombies, you guys, you COD players will know, you know what I'm talking about. So you're running around, let's go with the Asylum, for example, or Der Eis is a good choice, too. We're running around, you got no ammo left, you're hoping for that max ammo, but it's not dropping. You're running around, all you got is your knife, but you can't use it because you got, unless it's the Bowie knife, you're in a good spot. But let's say you don't have Juggernaut, you don't have the Bowie knife. We're gonna go around 25, and I'm gonna say there's that one zombie that's behind you. He, it's 2 hits, you're down for the count, and he's got full health. Your puny little knife's not gonna do much, and you're just running down the hallways or whatever, trying to find some ammo, trying to get a new gun, trying to get the box. This son of a bitch is just running after you. That's what it was going on with here. Chloe was running, and this thing was like, its head was like up in the air, howling, and it's like moving its shoulders sideways, and it's like full on sprinting towards her. It was absolutely terrifying. I hate those kinds of things, you know, and I'm sure we've all experienced it. So she manages to find a flamethrower, you know, and luckily she was able to burn him to a crisp. Thank God. So he was out and down. And after that, we got finally they're setting up explosives, though. The main character and his American friend inside the base. They set up the explosives, but then the main character's friend get apprehended by the German Nazi boss zombie dude. And, they go fighting. And obviously the German guy, he's got super strength. He picks the dude up, and you know those like fish hooks, those big ones for hanging half like a cow carcass on in those meat factories and such? Well, imagine those. And you know how usually in movies you get hung, hang the guy on like their shoulder blade or in the back or whatever, but the Nazi zombie boss picks up the guy and then puts the hook right in the middle of his chest underneath his rib cage, hooking it in there. Oh God! Oh, you feel for him. It was not good. And then the main character comes and saves the day, shoots the bad zombie boss in the stomach a few times, and the main zombie boss, gets his attention, throws him around. They're fighting. The American hanging on the hook gets the brave idea that he's gonna grab the chain above him, pull himself up, and pull the hook out, and drop down and go fight. So he does just that, but he loses his strength for a minute and drops down and lets the hook just jab back up in there really hard, and you think, oh no, just stop, my bones can't take anymore, it's hurting here. So the second time he manages to actually get out, and he drops to the floor, thank God, and then sure enough he takes one of those serum things that they were testing, the zombie stuff, injects it himself, giving him super strength and all the fun perks, for at least 5 minutes. Kicks the shit out of that Nazi zombie boss, but unfortunately the Nazi zombie boss gets the upper hand still, so the American rolls a tank of CO2 or something next to the zombie boss, and he starts to laugh. Both of them are laughing, the American and the zombie boss. And then the main character is like, okay, and then shoots the canister, explodes, knocking this main zombie dude boss down into some pit or whatever, exploding and taking him out, which is great. And so they get up. The American closes the gate, though, on himself because he knows that he can't get out. Whatever this stuff is, it's not meant, for the Americans to have. It would be too deadly for the Americans to have, just bury it here with whatever's going on, whatever this experiment is. So he closes the gate, tells the main character to go and set the charge for the explosives, and just get out. And that's that. So he goes to do just that, but as he's going to do just that, sure enough, Nazi zombie boss, he ain't out yet. He climbed back up the tower, and he's got barely anything on his bones. He's just a pile of bones with some skin. And he climbs up, and he's like, "Argh." And so the American dude grabs some dynamite, and he says some cheesy pun that was really, really good for the scenario in the movie, and he blows up and takes the other zombie boss with him, and so gives the main character just enough time to activate the bombs, taking down the base, and that's the rest is history. When the American forces push through and get it to the town, he's debriefed, and he tells them, there's nothing worth, digging down there for. We went through the underground path to blow up through the underground instead of blowing up through the above, just because, there's certain specifics about it. And I'm glad that, it went that way and he didn't divulge the information out because, I think it's true. That kind of power definitely should have been left in the ground and not, on the other side of the war, on the American side. And, that's pretty much where the movie starts to end. The only thing, though, is Chloe's aunt, she did get murdered from what we can assume she was murdered. All we know is that the Germans at one point were like, okay, you go up, take care of the aunt. And so when we see Chloe running, we see there was a lot of emphasis on the Germans actually going into the aunt's bedroom. And they really emphasized it, actually. But when the Germans got there and then you see Chloe running outside, you just see gunfire in the window and hear the bullets. But that's it. And I feel like if they were to do a sequel, I didn't see if there was a post-credit scene. That's something I'll have to look into, but I definitely felt like it was, they didn't show the ant get killed, but we know she was zombified, and she very easily could have done something. We seen throughout the movie that there were lots of people that had their, bite marks all over them, and there was some weird things going on. And they never actually confirmed where this zombie thing came from, except that they said France was sitting above it the whole time. They just didn't have the willpower to do something about it. And I really am curious to know what they were referring to, because they mentioned again, there's something underneath the ground and the people of this town and this church. And, yeah, I would love to have known a little bit more about that, but other than that, the movie ends, I loved how it ended. I'm very happy with how the characters came off in this movie. There was so much going for it, and I think it really, really did deliver. I highly recommend this movie. It's a fun watch. If you're going out with a friend and you just need something to kick back and just enjoy, I definitely recommend Overlord, 110%. I'm going to give this movie easily a 9 out of 10. I'd even go as far as a 9.5 probably. It's just, this is something I'm going to buy for sure. It was a good fun, trip into German occupied France, It was zombies thrown in there. It was awesome, and it was fun, and it was just outrageous and just crazy, and at times felt very real. I have one more thing, though, I'm going to rant about. Don't talk in the damn movie theaters. I feel like a broken record with me having this experience all the time. But seriously, why are you paying to go to a movie when you're just going to talk? Don't make me the bad guy and turn around and be like, hey, shut it. Because I don't want to be that guy. It's so frustrating when you're there, and I'm there with my girlfriend. I'm trying to watch some Nazi zombies. I don't need to hear pss, pss, pss from the background. Seriously? It's expensive enough to pay and fork out $11.99 to go see a movie. So if you're paying that, why are you talking during the movie? I have to tell enough kids to be quiet. I don't like having to tell adults to be quiet, let alone on the opening night of the movie. The opening night is when the OG crazy, fan base goes to see these movies, and they don't talk because they're crazy and they're OG and they love the franchise. The talking crowd, they come on the cheap Tuesday nights. That's when the talking crowd comes. And I thought I was going to be, in the clear because I'm going on opening night. Okay. But anyways, don't talk during the movie. I feel like I'm going to have to start a segment or a podcast about not talking in the theater. But that's my 2 cents. So, other than that, I hope you enjoyed this review, and I do hope that you will, at some point, go to the movies, check out Overlord, give it a watch. At the end of the day, it is something you most certainly are able to just wait. Hopefully it pops up on Netflix, because, if it does, definitely watch it. That way, it's technically free. But if you are going to the movies and just there's nothing much good that's playing, definitely pick Overlord. It's a great experience. And it's not even that long of a film. I think it's an hour 50 or something like that. So it's definitely a good time. But yeah. Gosh, I think we have a lot of content, though, coming out on GeekVerse podcast soon, Ideally, I'd like to get a Geeks Creed put out there soon, but you can expect probably a Cantina Conversations dropping soon. We most certainly will have, if you are exclusive on Patreon, you can get all of those awesome Star Wars Clone Wars retrospectives. We'll get some more episodes of that up soon. You can also check out, I believe there is some Spider-Man retrospectives, too, that you can check out, which is great news. And also, I guess nothing. I think I covered it all. So, until next time, I will be seeing you in the search bar. Have a good one.